A husband secretly removes his wife from the guest list of the most important gala of his career and replaces her with his PR director. He wanted her invisible, a boring engineer wife tinkering with tree-hugging projects. He told everyone she was too overwhelmed by her small firm to attend. He thought he'd won. But what happens when the boring wife you just erased shows up as the project's lead structural design consultant? Before we continue with the story, be sure to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Oh, and drop a comment below letting us know the city you're watching from. We love seeing that. Tyler was a senior partner at the prestigious real estate firm Plante and Sterling, a man whose ambition was as sharp and polished as his custom Italian suits. Donna, to the outside world, was the elegant, understated wife, the perfect companion, the quiet supporter. It was a role she had once embraced with love, but now wore like armor she couldn't remove. The shift had been gradual, a slow erosion over the past 3 years. Tyler's successes had inflated his ego until it consumed every conversation, leaving no room for her. He had started to see her not as a partner, but as a fixture, a well-educated ornament to be positioned at galas and investor dinners. He had forgotten the woman he married, the brilliant architectural engineer with fire in her calculations. He had quite deliberately stopped asking about her work. "It's just some environmental consulting thing, isn't it?" He'd once said with a dismissive gesture when a colleague inquired. "Keeps her busy. Manages her boredom." Donna hadn't corrected him. She had let him believe it. Let him think her company, Viridian Solutions, was a small hobby, a passion project she managed from her minimalist home office. She never told him when she secured the Seattle infrastructure contract, when her client portfolio crossed $2 billion in active projects, or when the Singapore Development Authority had tried to acquire her firm for a figure that would have made his annual earnings look like pocket change. Her silence was her fortress, the one part of her existence he hadn't yet managed to contaminate with his condescension. The beginning of the end came on a cold Wednesday afternoon. Donna was in her office, a sleek space of clean lines that contrasted sharply with the rest of the penthouse, deep in a video conference with her structural team in Copenhagen. They were finalizing specifications for the Cascade Bridge project, a revolutionary sustainable infrastructure design that was already generating international attention. "The stress distribution models are flawless," said her lead structural analyst, Jenna Reeves, her voice buzzing with energy through the speakers. "The carbon-neutral composite we developed is holding at 40% higher load capacity than traditional steel. We've run every scenario, and the foundation is unbreakable." A rare, genuine smile touched Donna's face. "Excellent work, Jenna. Let's maintain the timeline. I want full implementation protocols ready for the Q1 rollout." She ended the call with a surge of accomplishment, a warm clarity in her chest. This was hers. She had built this from nothing, fueled by relentless precision, calculated risk, and an unshakable belief in structural integrity over superficial flash. The door to her office opened without a knock. Tyler stood there holding a thick ivory envelope. He didn't acknowledge her call, or the engineering schematics filling her screen. His focus was entirely on the invitation in his hand. Tyler chose the conference room with the best view for the meeting, the one where the city stretched out beneath the glass like a conquered blueprint. He stood at the head of the sleek black table, fingers resting on the back of a chair, rehearsal lines looping in his mind. This was about optics, he reminded himself, about control, about making sure the Founders Gala reflected the version of his life he wanted the world to see. Valerie Hayes swept in with a tablet tucked under her arm, her tailored navy dress cutting a clean line against the glass. Her bobbed hair framed a face built for cameras, sharp, composed, effortlessly current. She took the seat beside him without waiting to be asked, crossing one leg over the other as if she already belonged at the head table. "You sounded urgent," she said. "Crisis or opportunity?" "Opportunity," Tyler replied, allowing himself a thin smile. "The Citadel announcement has to be immaculate. No conflicting messages, no distractions." Her brows lifted, the slightest hint of curiosity. "Distractions like what?" "Donna," he said, the name clipped. "She's not aligned with where the firm is heading. All this talk about carbon offsets and long-term sustainability. It reads cautious, not ambitious. The Citadel is about dominance, not moderation." Valerie considered this, then nodded slowly. as if fitting a final piece into place. Her sensibility is very measured, she said, which is admirable in engineering, I'm sure. But at the gala, it softens your edge. Investors want to feel like they're betting on the future, not on someone reminding them to eat their vegetables. Tyler let out a low chuckle, relief loosening his shoulders. Exactly. Sensible is a liability in that room. She tapped something on her tablet, already recalibrating the optics. So, you want a different visual story at your side, one that says innovation, boldness, forward-facing brand. I want you there, he said. At my table. As the face of the firm's new direction, Valerie didn't feign surprise. Her lips curved in a knowing, professional smile. Then we lean into it. We present you as the visionary builder, and me as the narrative architect. Clean, modern, aspirational. And Donna? He asked, watching her closely. Valerie met his gaze without flinching. Donna stays home. You're not discarding her. You're repositioning. Privately. Publicly. The pairing that sells the Citadel is you and your PR director. That's the story. He exhaled, tension draining as the decision crystallized into strategy. I've already had her name pulled from the guest list, he said. I'll handle the conversation. You handle everything else. Valerie nodded once, decisive. Then at the gala. When they look at that table, they'll see exactly what you want them to see. Donna read the embossed card twice, though the words had already carved themselves into her memory. The envelope lay open on her desk. The founder's gala crest gleaming at the top of the heavy paper, followed by the neat correction in black ink. Mrs. Donna Barnett Plante had been struck through and replaced with Miss Valerie Hayes. Tyler's explanation still hung in the air between them, even though he'd already left for the office. Something about brand alignment. About her firm being too sensible for the image he needed to project. He had said it lightly, as though discussing a seating chart, not his decision to erase her from the most important night of his career. Hurt rose, hot and sharp, catching her off guard. It wasn't about a party. It was about hierarchy. About how small he believed she was. The ache didn't last long. It cooled, solidifying into something harder, clearer. He hadn't just uninvited her from a gala. He had made a statement. In his version of the city's future, Donna Barnett was an afterthought. Her phone buzzed. A message from Lena, one of the committee members and one of the few people in that world Donna still trusted. You okay? Just heard from Tyler's assistant you're too overwhelmed with your little firm to attend. Thought that sounded off. Donna stared at the words. Too overwhelmed. The phrasing was surgical. Not malicious enough to spark scandal, but dismissive enough to reshape a narrative. The brilliant engineer reduced to a frazzled hobbyist who couldn't handle a night out. Her chest tightened, then steadied. She typed back. I'm fine. Thank you for telling me. See you at the gala. She set the invitation aside, aligned its edges with the corner of her desk. The anger that might once have spilled into an argument instead narrowed into a single, precise line of intent. Confrontation would give him theatrics, a chance to paint her as emotional, unreasonable. He had chosen the arena. She would choose the battlefield. Donna woke her computer, fingers moving with the same calm she used to assess load-bearing walls. She navigated through encrypted folders until she reached a hidden directory only she and one other person knew existed. A blank ledger awaited her, columns ready for data. In the title field, she typed, "The Foundational Shift." She saved it to her secure server. The act small and silent but seismic in its implication. If Tyler wanted her invisible, she would show him what happened when the foundation he'd taken for granted decided to move. Donna waited until Tyler's car pulled out of the garage before she made the call. She used the encrypted line, the one reserved for transactions that required absolute discretion. Marcus Chen answered on the second ring, his voice calm and measured as always. Donna, it's early for you. I need to move on something time-sensitive, she said, her tone carrying no hesitation. The Citadel Tower project. I want Viridian Solutions positioned as the lead structural design consultant. There was a pause, The kind Marcus used when calculating variables most people couldn't see. Tyler's flagship project. Yes. And you want this because? Because it's impossible to overlook, Donna said. And because the structural integrity contract requires the kind of liquid capital commitment that most firms can't access on short notice. We can. We can. Marcus let out a low sound, somewhere between a chuckle and approval. You're not asking for a seat at the table. You're asking to own the table. I'm asking to be exactly what I've always been, Donna corrected. The foundation. Tyler just forgot that foundations don't disappear because you stop looking at them. She heard the faint click of keys on Marcus's end, the unmistakable sound of him already pulling files. The current structural firm is Cordell & Associates. They're competent, but they're leveraged thin across 3 other projects. If we came in with a buyout offer backed by immediate capital, they'd take it. Then make the offer, Donna said. Use Viridian's reserve, all of it if you need to. I want the lead structural design consultant title transferred to me within 48 hours. That's aggressive, even for you. It needs to be airtight before the gala. Her voice didn't waver. Tyler's announcing the Citadel project that night. I want to be announced with it. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then she heard the smile in his voice. You're not just securing a contract. You're staging a reveal. I'm correcting a narrative, Donna said. Tyler told the planning committee I was too overwhelmed by my small firm to attend. I want every person in that room to understand exactly how small my firm isn't. 48 hours, Marcus confirmed. I'll have the contracts ready by tomorrow evening. Cordell won't know what hit them. Good, Donna said. And Marcus? When the gala coordinator asks who I'm attending with, tell them I'm a guest of the lead investor. Understood? He paused. This is going to be elegant. It's going to be structural, Donna replied, and ended the call. Donna didn't visit the boutiques Tyler's circles favored, the ones filled with soft chiffon and delicate embellishments designed to make women look approachable. She called Nikolai Voss, a designer whose work appeared in architecture journals as often as fashion magazines. His pieces weren't worn. They were engineered. I need something that communicates structure, not ornament, she told him over a private video call. Severe, uncompromising. The kind of garment that makes people understand. I'm not there to be looked at. I'm there to be reckoned with. Nikolai's eyes lit up with the particular gleam of an artist handed a perfect brief. Technical fabrics, precision lines, no softness. Exactly. I have a carbon fiber weave I've been developing. It holds shape like steel but moves like silk, paired with geometric paneling and a structural shoulder line. He sketched as he spoke, his stylus moving across the tablet. You'll look like you built the room you're standing in. Perfect, Donna said. I need it in 4 days. Consider it done. The dress was only the visible layer. The real construction happened in the digital space, where Donna worked late into the night, drafting a press release with the precision of a legal contract. She wrote it herself, each sentence stripped of embellishment, each fact verifiable and devastating in its clarity. Viridian Solutions had secured the lead structural design consultant role for the Citadel Tower, the revolutionary carbon-neutral composite technology, the $1.8 billion capital commitment, the timeline. She encrypted the file and scheduled it to deploy to a curated list. The top infrastructure journals, the financial editors at the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, the Financial Times. The release would go live at exactly 9:47 p.m. on the night of the gala, 17 minutes after Tyler's scheduled announcement. The final detail required a single phone call to the gala coordinator, a woman named Diane, who handled logistics for the city's most exclusive events. Miss Barnett, Diane said, surprise evident in her voice. I thought you weren't attending. Plans changed, Donna replied smoothly. I'll be attending as a surprise guest of the lead investor, Marcus Chen. I need a seat at the Citadel project table. There was a pause. That table is full. Then make room, Donna said, her tone leaving no space for negotiation. An empty seat. No name card. I'll be announced when I arrive. Diane hesitated, then clicked her tongue in understanding. I see. I'll handle it personally. Thank you. Donna ended the call and returned to her screen, where the foundations of Tyler's narrative were already beginning to crack. Tyler adjusted his cufflinks in the hallway mirror, the motion smooth and practiced. Valerie stood beside him, sleek in midnight blue. Her presence already photographed twice by the building's lobby cameras. They made, he thought with satisfaction, exactly the kind of pair that belonged on the cover of a business magazine. "Ready?" he asked, though it wasn't really a question. "Always," Valerie replied, her smile sharp and camera-ready. They descended to the waiting car, where a small cluster of local press had gathered, tipped off by Valerie's team. A reporter stepped forward. Microphone extended. "Mr. Plant, we noticed your wife isn't attending tonight. Any comment?" Tyler's expression shifted into practiced concern, the kind that suggested depth without inviting follow-up. "Donna's focused on some smaller, important projects right now. Very hands-on work. She sends her support, of course." The reporter nodded, satisfied, and they slid into the car. Tyler felt the tension in his shoulders release. Narrative controlled. Image secured. The gala unfolded exactly as he'd envisioned. The ballroom glittered with the city's power brokers, investors in tailored suits, champagne flutes catching light like tiny prisms. Tyler took the stage to applause. Valerie positioned perfectly in his sightline and delivered the announcement with the confidence of a man who believed his own myth. "Tonight I'm proud to confirm that Plant & Sterling has secured the Citadel Tower project," he said, his voice carrying across the room. "This isn't just a building. It's a statement about this city's future. About ambition that doesn't apologize." The applause was thunderous. He returned to the head table where Valerie raised her glass. Her smile genuine now, feeding off the room's energy. "To the future," she said. "To dominance," Tyler corrected, and they clinked glasses. The evening moved in waves of congratulations, handshakes, carefully staged photographs. Tyler felt untouchable, the kind of invincible that came from controlling every variable. He barely noticed when the chairman of the Development Council took the stage, clearing his throat for attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate this monumental project, I'd like to introduce the key personnel who will bring the Citadel Tower to life." Tyler straightened, expecting his name to anchor the list. The chairman consulted his notes, then looked up with an expression Tyler couldn't quite read. "But first," the chairman continued, "we have a special introduction. A new partner whose expertise will serve as the literal foundation of everything we're building." Tyler's smile faltered, confusion flickering across his face. Valerie glanced at him, equally uncertain. The chairman's next words cut through the room like a blade. "We've added a new recognition tonight," the chairman said, his voice carrying a weight that silenced the remaining conversations. "The foundational pillar of integrity. Because no vision, no matter how ambitious, stands without the right foundation." Tyler's confusion deepened. This wasn't in the program. Valerie's hand tightened around her glass, her PR instincts sensing a shift she couldn't control. "It is my honor," the chairman continued, "to introduce the lead structural design consultant for the Citadel Tower project, a visionary whose firm has quietly revolutionized sustainable infrastructure across 3 continents. Please welcome Donna Barnett, CEO of Viridian Solutions." The name hit Tyler like a physical blow. His breath caught, the room tilting slightly as his brain struggled to reconcile the words. Donna, his Donna, the wife with the small hobby firm, lead structural design consultant. The grand ballroom doors opened. Donna stood framed in the entrance, and the sight of her stopped time. The gown Nikolai had created was a masterpiece of geometric precision. Charcoal fabric structured with carbon fiber weave that caught the light like architectural steel. Sharp shoulders, clean lines. No softness, no apology. She looked like she could bear the weight of the entire building on her frame and not bend. The room recognized her before Tyler fully comprehended what was happening. Engineers he'd dismissed as background players rose first, their faces lighting with respect. Then the financiers, the ones who actually read infrastructure journals, who knew Viridian's reputation. Then everyone else, pulled upward by the gravity of the moment. The entire hall stood in hushed, reverent silence. A standing ovation that had nothing to do with politeness and everything to do with power. Tyler pushed back from the table, his chair scraping loudly. His face had gone pale. a tremor running through his hands as he tried to arrange his features into something resembling pride. He started toward her, instinct pulling him into the role of supportive husband, the man who'd always known his wife's brilliance. Donna's eyes found his across the room. The look she gave him wasn't angry. It wasn't sad. It was clear, cold, and utterly dismissive. The kind of look an architect gives a structure that's failed its stress test. She held his gaze just long enough to communicate a single, devastating truth. You are irrelevant here. Then she walked past him as though he were empty air, her focus already on the podium, on the room, on the foundation she'd just claimed as her own. Donna reached the Citadel project table with measured steps, her presence commanding the space in a way champagne toasts never could. Tyler stood frozen, his mouth half open with an explanation he hadn't yet formed. She stopped directly in front of him, her expression calm and surgical. I heard you told people I was too overwhelmed to attend, she said, her voice carrying just far enough for the surrounding tables to hear. That wasn't quite accurate, Tyler. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was simply making room for a better partner. The words landed with precision, each syllable a calculated demolition. Tyler's face flushed, then drained of color. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Donna's gaze shifted to Valerie, who had risen from her seat, her confident posture suddenly uncertain. Donna assessed her with the detached interest one might give a misplaced file. Ah, Valerie, Donna said, her tone carrying a politeness that somehow felt worse than contempt. Since you're here, I need a favor. There are structural integrity documents in my car that need to be delivered to Mr. Chen immediately. Black Mercedes, valet tag 47. Could you handle that? The request hung in the air, transforming Valerie from PR director to errand runner in a single breath. Valerie's face went rigid, humiliation flickering across her features. She looked to Tyler for rescue, but he was staring at Donna as though she'd become a stranger. That's not really. Thank you, Donna interrupted smoothly, already turning away. Mr. Chen is waiting. Before the moment could settle, Marcus Chen rose from his seat 3 tables over. He was a man whose presence commanded boardrooms across 2 hemisons. And when he spoke, the entire hall quieted to listen. I want to commend Miss Barnett publicly, Marcus said, his voice resonant with authority. Her decision to commit Viridian Solutions' full capital reserve to this project demonstrates the kind of vision we need. It's why, effective immediately, I'm restructuring the Citadel partnership. Tyler's head snapped toward Marcus, panic finally breaking through his paralysis. Plant A and Sterling will remain as a junior consulting firm, Marcus continued. But the lead contract now belongs to Viridian Solutions and its partners. I only work with people whose structural integrity matches their ambition. He looked directly at Tyler. And I'm afraid your foundation just revealed some critical flaws. The room erupted in murmurs. Tyler stood trembling, his career collapsing in real time, while Donna remained perfectly still, the architect watching her calculations prove flawless. At exactly 9:47 p.m., phones across the ballroom began to vibrate in synchronized pulses. Journalists reached into pockets and purses, their expressions shifting from curiosity to sharp focus as they scanned the notification. Investors pulled out devices mid-conversation, eyes widening as they absorbed the headlines scrolling across their screens. Viridian Solutions secures lead structural role and majority financing stake in Citadel Tower Project, F. $1. 8. B. Capital commitment, announced. The press release was comprehensive, clinical, in its precision. It detailed not just Donna's consultancy role, but the full scope of Viridian's involvement. The revolutionary carbon-neutral composite technology, the structural engineering patents, and the staggering capital commitment that now gave her firm controlling interest in the tower's financing structure. Every major infrastructure journal had it. Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. The murmurs grew louder, spreading through the room like a structural crack widening under pressure. Guests who'd barely registered Donna's entrance now turned to stare, recalculating her position in the hierarchy with each new detail they read. The city mayor, seated at the VIP table, read the release twice, then stood abruptly. She crossed to the chairman and whispered something urgent. The chairman nodded, then gestured toward Donna. Miss Barnett, the mayor called out. her voice warm with political opportunism. "Would you join me on stage? I think the city would love to hear more about this extraordinary partnership." Donna inclined her head graciously and moved toward the stage, her gown catching the light with every step. The crowd parted instinctively, creating a path that felt less like courtesy and more like deference. Behind her, Tyler remained at the table, his hand gripping the back of his chair as though it were the only thing keeping him upright. His phone was vibrating relentlessly, messages flooding in from partners, investors, colleagues who were just now understanding what had happened. The junior consulting firm, the restructured contract, his name relegated to fine print beneath Donna's. He'd spent the evening projecting dominance, toasting his vision with Valerie at his side, believing he'd controlled every variable. Now the room saw him clearly. A man whose entire career had been built on a foundation he'd never bothered to inspect, and that foundation had just shifted, revealing him as structurally unsound. Valerie stood beside him, still holding her clutch. The errand he'd watched Donna assign her now impossible to unsee. She looked at Tyler, then at the stage where Donna stood beside the mayor, and quietly stepped away from the table. Tyler was alone, his empire collapsing in real time. Buried beneath the weight of his own contempt, Donna stood at the podium, the microphone positioned at the perfect height, the room silent in anticipation. She didn't rush. She let the moment settle, let every eye in the hall focus on her with the kind of attention Tyler had spent years craving but never truly earned. "Thank you, Mayor Lawson," she began, her voice steady and clear. "I've spent my career studying what makes structures endure, not what makes them beautiful at ribbon-cutting ceremonies, but what allows them to stand for generations." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the room, landing briefly on Tyler before moving past him as though he were just another face in the crowd. "True value is never found in the gleaming facade," she continued. "It's found in the unbreakable strength of the foundation, in the materials no one sees, in the calculations that happen in quiet rooms, not at champagne toasts. The Citadel Tower will stand because its foundation is built on integrity, not image." The applause started slowly, then built into something genuine, the kind of recognition that came from substance rather than spectacle. Donna acknowledged it with a single nod. "I'm committed to building structures that last," she said, her tone shifting just slightly. "Becoming personal, without becoming soft. And that includes my own life. Moving forward, I'll only invest in projects with true structural integrity. Everything else is just risk I'm no longer willing to carry." The finality in her words landed with precision. She stepped back from the podium as the room rose again, this time in full applause. Marcus Chen appeared at the base of the stage steps, offering his arm. She took it, descending with the same measured grace she'd entered with. Tyler pushed through the crowd, desperation finally overtaking pride. "Donna, wait." She didn't turn, didn't slow her pace, didn't acknowledge that he'd spoken at all. Marcus guided her toward the exit, past tables of people who were already pulling out phones to schedule meetings with Viridian Solutions, past journalists, updating their headlines, past Valerie standing alone near the bar. Tyler stood in the middle of the ballroom, a redundant fixture in a structure that no longer needed him. His career lay in ruins around him, his reputation shattered by the very foundation he'd dismissed as boring. Donna walked out into the night, the city stretching before her like an unbuilt blueprint, and she felt the weight she'd carried for 3 years finally lift. She was free. She was whole, and she was just beginning. Thank you very much for watching. Comment below what you thought and what was the best or worst part. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.